Hey, gaming community. Welcome back to another episode of Gaming Fun with Hoplite Evolved. My name is Eagle Eye.
And this is Noble. Welcome to the podcast, everybody.
So we decided to get back into it, guys. It's been a long time, but we wanted to come back. We wanted to have some fun, and we're going to do something a little different this time. The very first thing we're going to do is start off with something near and dear to Noble's heart. We're going to rank the Halo campaigns, best to worst, D through S. We didn't think any of them deserved an F. So let's start with that. At least that's our opinion.
Right.
So Noble, you and I have gone over this in depth. We had some disagreements here.
Sure.
But we come down to an understanding at the end, right?
Right.
And that understanding is the absolute worst game on the list. And that doesn't mean it's horrible. That just means it's the worst of the list, right?
Right.
And that is which one?
That would be Halo 5 Guardians.
Halo 5 Guardians. We have that ranked 8 out of 8. We're not doing Halo Wars. We're just doing 1 through 5, Infinite, ODST, and Reach. Because those are the main ones that we've played. And you know, Halo Wars is something in and of itself, you know, so we didn't want to drag that into this, especially because neither of us really played it. So,
exactly.
Of these 8 main ones, we're doing Halo 5 is the worst. So we ranked it a D.
Right.
And we ranked it 8 out of 8, like it is the worst one. So, all right, so the first thing we're going to do to start this new podcast off is we're going to go over a summary of Halo 5 campaign. Now, I know it's been a while, Noble, so I got this one for you, bud. Okay, don't worry.
Brother. I appreciate it.
So, after looking over a few things and refreshing my memory as well, first things first, there are spoiler alerts over this next section. If you have not played the Halo 5 campaign and you do plan on it, don't listen to this part here, okay? Try to skip ahead. I'm going to look at our timestamp and put it in our podcast notes so that you can skip any spoilers here. Odds are we're going to talk about things later in the podcast that could also be spoilers. So if that's something you don't want to worry about, I don't recommend this episode. That being said, let's jump right to it. So first things first, Master Chief gets reunited with his fellow 2 Spartans in Blue Team. And then also introduced is Manhunter Spartan Locke with his fire team Osiris. And one of his fire team is actually an old face of ours, right? It was ODST, was it Buck, right?
Yeah, Buck from ODST. Yeah.
I actually really like him, but,
yeah,
you know, of course he's trying to find Master Chief. We don't like that.
No, we don't.
So the game starts, fire team Osiris gets deployed by the UNSC Infinity to Kamchatka. Now, if I mispronounce names, I'm terribly sorry. I can't pronounce everything, I swear. They're going there to extract Halsey because she has information on Forerunner attacks on human colonies. And they find out the Covenant are actually under attack by Promethean forces, which have turned on them. And they weaken the Covenant's grasp over this point, and it allows Fireteam Osiris to get through, get Halsey, and get out of there. Right?
Right.
So then you jump in, first mission as Master Chief, Blue Team. You're inserted into an Oni research vessel, Argent Moon, and you're looking to secure it from Covenant forces who are stripping it for parts. You fight through the Covenant. You get through the first couple stages there. You figure out that Cortana is still around, and she has made contact to you as Chief. She says Meridian is next. And then Chief takes the Blue Team, finishes. They set the ship up to explode, and then they get out of there. And Chief gets them to head towards Meridian, which is against everything that he was told. So he's going AWOL.
Right.
So after that, Halsey reveals Cortana somehow gained access to the domain. It's a galaxy-spanning repository of Forerunner knowledge. She's worried that she's manipulating the Master Chief, so she sends Osiris after Blue Team with orders to bring him back, right? They get to Meridian. The Governor Sloan there accepts their help, even though he doesn't like it. They help fight off the Prometheans. And then Sloan provides a Pelican to take them to where the Blue Team is. They found out blue team's already going down into the planet, so they follow. They fight through a bunch of Promethean forces and the the Warden Eternal. Sorry, he introduces himself as Cortana's servant. They engage with Osiris, who is trying to catch up to blue team. So Osiris does catch up to blue team, and they're moving through a series of portals. And finally, Locke reaches the Master Chief, and they have a battle. Right. It's not the greatest thing, but they have a battle. He gets defeated. Blue team gets on the Guardian. Halsey deduces that there's another dormant Guardian on the surface of Sanoan, something like that, Sangalos, where Sanghelios, my bad. That's where the Arbiter is. So Roland figures out that Guardian gave off a distinctive activation code that kind of tells him how to get to the other Guardians. So blue team arrives on the Forerunner world. They encounter the Warden in another body. He introduces himself. John lets him know that he's there to take Cortana home. The Warden says, "Hey man, you're a threat to Cortana and I's goal. I don't like that." Cortana basically keeps fighting with him throughout the game.
Right.
Chief defeats that iteration of the Warden. Cortana explains that she had rampancy cured by accessing the domain, and she leads blue team across the planet to meet her and access the domain itself. Now, Osiris goes back to Sanghelios, and they fight their way with the Arbiter to help them get to the Guardian. It lies in Covenant hands now, and then during these moments between Locke and Arbiter, Cortana reveals her presence on the planet. Halsey figures out that they can acquire a constructor sentinel from one of the Forerunner ruins that are scattered across the planet, so they can activate the Guardian. Osiris are deployed to recover one of them from the Forerunner facility. They recover it, deliver it to the Arbiter's base. Halsey reprograms it for the Guardian, and then they get on the Guardian, activate, and get the heck out of there. Next, they land on the Forerunner planet. They attempt to contact Master Chief, but Cortana is actually blocking them and leading blue team in circles in order to buy herself time. Osiris meets up with blue team. They offer help to Master Chief to stop Cortana, but Cortana transitions blue team away. And then the Warden confronts blue team, trying to convince Cortana that they're a threat to her plan. But she destroys his new body to protect blue team. Master Chief reveals no matter how warm her greeting, he is suspicious of Cortana, and he has set foot on Genesis, and recognizes that she has been attempting to manipulate him through psychological tactics. He confronts her about the casualties that the Guardians have inflicted, and then the Warden claims that the librarian intended the mantle to be passed down and prepared humanity for the task. But the mantle was not meant for humanity, but meant for creations of humanity, the AIs. So technically, Master Chief was never the reclaimer. Cortana was. So finally confronting Cortana Reborn, and with a new holographic avatar to represent her change, John tries to talk Cortana out of her plan, but instead she traps him inside a Forerunner crypt. So Osiris follows, witnessing the deployment of the Guardians and the arrival of hundreds of AIs from across human space to join Cortana's new faction. As Osiris tries to prevent the Cryptum from departing with Cortana, she attempts to use their individual histories to demoralize them and accuse them of being pale imitations of her Spartans. Not Halsey's Spartans, hers.
Right.
Locke retorts that Dr. Halsey trusts them to bring the Master Chief back. Cortana tells him that she will punish Halsey soon enough. Exuberant witnesses continue to help them progress, attempting to reach the Cryptum. Cortana announces that she intends to put the Master Chief and Blue Team in stasis for 10,000 years, giving herself time to consolidate her grip on the galaxy as she begins to leave Genesis aboard a Guardian. Cortana begins broadcasting across the galaxy, promising an era of peace and prosperity under her benevolent rule, and warning those who resist will be conquered through force. Man, Cortana went quite the other way.
Oh, yeah.
She sends her Guardians across the galaxy and begins to follow, but discovers to her horror that Osiris have restored control of Genesis to Exuberant Witness, who uses swarms of constructors to pry the cryptum from her control. It stays on Genesis as Cortana's guardian leaves through slip space, unable to stop itself. Blue team are freed from the cryptum and finally reunited with Osiris.
Awesome.
Cortana and her AIs begin shutting down UNSC control access across human space, using the Guardians to consolidate control. She tracks down the Infinity, which makes an emergency slip space jump to escape and find a way to fight her. On St. Helios, the Arbiter, Commander Palmer, and Dr. Halsey meet the Master Chief and Locke, who disembark from a Pelican. And then, at the very last scene, over a lush green world, Installation 07 orbits as Cortana Homes.
That was great, Jared. Awesome, man. I think you pronounced those pretty well. I just like to say St. Helios because it's a fun word to say, but I think you did a lot better job than I would have at pronouncing some of those words.
It was definitely a challenge, man. But so that's the recap of Halo 5 Guardians. Overall, I think the story's kind of there, but let's just do this. Let's jump into the pros of the campaign. Okay. So I got pros. I know you got pros because, let's be real. It wasn't completely awful, right?
Right.
It was all right.
We didn't give it an F for a reason. So.
Right, exactly. I'm going to start this one off with, I liked how the campaign reverted back to two different storylines. You get to split up showing other characters in the universe, and that's kind of fun to me. It shows that it's not all done by one single person, even though, let's be real, it's Master Chief, right?
Right.
He is the man. But what do you think, man? Did you enjoy that double storyline thing?
Yeah, now that you mention it, I didn't think of that before because it brings me back to Halo 3 where, Arbiter and the Chief, and you're kind of playing those missions and you come together. I thought that was really cool. And I think that's a great aspect to the story. It kind of breaks it up a bit. You get more than just one perspective. So that's a really good point. I'm glad you put that in your pros section.
Absolutely, man. Okay, so the next thing I said, I did like the storyline of this campaign. Okay. It felt fresh to me. It felt like it was something different. It had a different factor to it. I think 343 was really trying something fresh and different. I just don't think they quite hit that mark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Concept was there, but the execution wasn't.
Yeah, left something to be desired a little bit.
Right.
Okay.
Overall, I felt like the gameplay was okay. Nothing fantastic compared to the other games, but
Gotcha. It
was just a new story and a couple of new weapons at best. I don't remember anything jumping out at me saying, "Oh my God, this is brand new. You've never used it before."
Right.
And it's been a while, so I can't really remember all the changes from 4 to 5, but I don't think there was anything major. I just felt like it was another story, and I felt like the story was what they were really leaning on,
Right. Yeah, so nothing really popped out to you as far as super, super good or just super fantastic or fun. It was just
when we get to Halo 4, we're really gonna discuss how Halo 4 introduced that other, that other race, that other personality, those people, and also the new weapons that come with it. This one, I don't remember anything brand new. At least Infinite had a grappling hook that you could pull guns to or something, right?
Yeah, I think this one brought the Hydra. I think the Hydra is new to Halo 5. If you remember,
was it Halo 5?
I think so.
I do remember.
I may be wrong. Y'all can correct me in the comments or wherever, but I think the Hydra was in there. That's the one that I mainly remember. There may be a few other Promethean. I think they made adjustments to some of the Promethean.
That sounds accurate. And I did put on there, I think, a couple new weapons, but like I said, nothing stood out. But what about you? Right. What are some pros for you?
Well, for me, at the time, whenever it came out, I was kind of a big fan of advanced movement. So I did like the animations in the game and the Spartan abilities. I felt like, it was something fresh for me. A new movement system was pretty cool to see. A little bit, you played a little bit more vertically sometimes. It wasn't all the time, but it was enough to keep it interesting. I love some of the classic aspects of the game, like finding the skulls. I think they added intel to the game. That's always fun for me, exploring the maps a little bit and finding those little hidden Easter eggs and things like that. And then, also just like the sandbox elements and some of like the campaign maps with like different or hidden paths that to get
Mm-hmm.
to the objectives. And a lot of times you would use your Spartan abilities, like you would bash through like an ice wall to get to like this area with some extra guns or like a scatter shot or whatever. Um,
Right.
so
You
different
have to
like
figure out
paths.
how to use those different those different new elements in order to get to different parts you're not
Right.
used to.
And I definitely enjoyed that. I had some fun with that, and I
Yep.
remembered that. So that's a
Right.
good thing.
Always.
Um, and I love to try new weapons in any game. So the few weapons that were in there or that were adjusted, I definitely enjoyed. Any kind of Promethean weapons were fun to mess with. I think the Promethean, like it was like a mounted turret, was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it shot like kind of like a grenade type thing out of it. It was pretty cool.
Okay.
And then, there's some carryover from like the Spartan Ops missions in Halo 4. I'm not sure if you remember or a lot of people remember.
I do remember Spartan Ops, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit different, but they carried over some of like the storyline into Halo 5, which was cool to see. But I
Yeah.
remember it like being kind of rushed. Like, so whenever you did like the recap for Halo 5, that very beginning, like the Jewel and Dama guy or whatever, I think he was a part of that Halo 4 Spartan Ops. And trying to
Right.
hunt him down. And
Right.
I feel like in the first 5 minutes of the game, he was defeated, and like that was that. So, but I mean, it was kind of cool to see some carryover there from something that wasn't necessarily a part of the actual campaign. It was more like a DLC kind of thing. But I thought that
Right.
was cool. And then seeing the actual Guardians, that was really cool to me. Back,
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, Jarrett, but back playing Halo 3 in the sandboxes, and like that big old sand map, and you start running out too
I'm trying to
far,
remember.
and once you like get out of bounds, like you get killed, and it says like you were killed by the Guardians, and it's actually nice to see what the Guardians actually were. I think
You
it's
know
just
what?
funny.
I actually don't remember that part, but now I'm going to have to go through and play it just for that. I'm going to
Yeah.
have to figure that one out.
I think all the old Halos, maybe I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure Halo 3, if you like went off the map, like where you weren't supposed to go at
Yeah.
a certain time, you would just die, and it would say in the kill feed like so and so was killed by the Guardians. So
Uh,
I'm not sure if that's the same thing that they were going for here, but in my mind, I make those connections. So I thought it
Hey,
was really
it's a
cool to
good
see.
connection.
Yeah, and it's just
You know-
like, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that they might have leaned on that, thinking maybe that's what Bungie meant by, the Guardians. Or if not, at least we can play off of it. I actually think that you're
Yeah.
probably close.
Yeah, I hope so. Like for me, they were just basically added into the lore at that moment, like in Halo 5. Like, oh, that's cool. These are like machines or beings or whatever they are, like that are super destructive. I think they were meant like as weapons to kill like biological life or the Flood. We may have to get
Yeah.
our expert Bub in here on that.
We will. Don't worry.
To help us with that kind of stuff. But I think that's what
He
it is.
will.
But yeah, that's basically my pros for the campaign.
Okay. All right. So, we did the pros. That means you got to do the cons.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and start the cons off. I think the campaign to me, it just felt long. It didn't
Okay.
feel like it flowed perfectly. I think if it had a better flow, it wouldn't have felt like it drug on. But that's just my opinion. I just felt like I just vaguely remember feeling, oh my God, this game's still going. Like, why haven't we beaten it yet?
Right.
I don't think there were any significant changes to weapons or gameplay. I just remember feeling like a reskin more than a new game,
Okay.
which we had talked about. And you said there's a couple new weapons that you remember, but nothing stood out to me. Nothing was like, oh my
nothing
God, this is
crazy.
epic.
Yeah.
Right. The biggest one for me right here, and we're going to talk about this when Bub comes on here. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I really do not like the fact that Locke was able to hold up in a one-on-one fight with Master Chief. I cannot stand that. Master Chief was a Spartan too, and they are said to be the most lethal of the
Right.
Spartans. He is one of the 2 Spartans that has obtained the status of hyper-lethal, the other being Noble 6.
Right.
I don't see how a Spartan 4 who holds nothing except Spartan armor could even hold a candle to Master Chief. Chief has superior physical ability, fighting ability, armor, combat senses, everything. Everything about Chief is better, and yet they had Spartan Locke keep up with him. Are you kidding me? No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that boat either, for sure. Like, I think to your point, like the Spartan 4s only had the armor and like maybe like the super soldier serum, whatever they call it, the
But
augmentation,
it
and that's
still
it.
doesn't touch that Spartan 2 level. It
Right.
does not.
Because they were like bred from early childhood to be like lethal
Yes.
killers.
Right. And
Yeah.
even Spartan 3s weren't early childhood, but it was childhood, and they were taken as, I believe they were like orphans.
Yeah,
And Noble 6 was a Spartan 3.
yes, and I think Chief wasn't even that old at that point because he came out of like cryo sleep or whatever from I don't even know anymore. But like he's not like too past his prime, I don't think.
No,
So
I don't either.
Yeah, especially for somebody like Master Chief.
Now, you and I had talked before this, and we had talked about the marketing, which I know you're going to bring up here
Yeah.
in a minute. But I know, hang on a second.
It messed up.
Okay, we'll edit that part out.
No worries.
So, all right. Just giving it a pause so I can cut this out.
Sure.
Okay, so I know you brought up the marketing and everything before, and we're going to bring it up again here in a few. But what makes sense to me is what they did in the marketing, which we had talked about. Send the entire fire team fight Chief 4-on-1. That would make sense to me.
Yeah, that
they
would
would have
better.
a chance.
Yes, I agree. And that'd be super cool to see, like a whole gang of Spartans coming up on one guy.
Yeah.
And it makes Master Chief look like even more of a bad A anyways. Because it's
Right.
1v4. But it makes more sense like with the lore and everything, at least in my opinion.
Exactly. So what do you got cons-wise, man?
So I got a few like technical things and then like a few like gameplay things and then a few like story things.
All right,
but
go for it.
Kind of just started off. I didn't like that the Halo 5 campaign didn't have split screen at launch. For me, that's a staple. I understand why they didn't have it, you know, for the gameplay, frame rates, and all that good stuff. But it was just kind of disappointing that they didn't have it because, you know, growing up, you know, all of us older Halo players love to play with our brothers, our friends, our family.
I have fantastic. There was a birthday. I don't remember exact. I think it was my 16th birthday. I remember me and my brother split screen in Halo all night long, and we were just going through all 3 campaigns because there were only 3 at that time.
Exactly. And when Halo Reach came out, you know, standing in line outside midnight release, going home and playing and finishing, like staying up till 4 or 5 in the morning. Or
I actually still have a Facebook picture from the Halo 3 midnight release on my profile still. Yeah, wow. I remember.
When was that release? Like 2009 or something?
2007.
2007. Good grief.
2007.
Man, yeah, you need to frame that or something, put it up somewhere.
But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, dude. And that's what we did. We went home. We went to a buddy's house. We were up all night. We skipped school the next day. Like,
sure did.
That's what midnight releases were back then.
Right. Yeah, the poor, you know, kids these days, they have no idea. And it was just
you
so
get the
much
Red Bull
fun.
truck. The Red Bull girls come out. They pull out gaming trailers. Like people go in and game all night as everyone's in line. Like people hold your spot so you can go game a little bit.
Yeah, it was like it was a whole event. Like people were playing games. Like they were giving out prizes. It was a great time.
Yep. So what else you got?
Yeah, but anyways, back to this. Kind of chased a rabbit a little bit, but for me, we'll talk about it a little bit here. The storyline was far different from the Hunt the Truth marketing campaign. So the trailers, the podcast that they had on there, everything, it made it seem like the story was a certain way when it wasn't. And for me, like I was super hyped up on the story that the Hunt the Truth people that team made, which in my mind was very good. It may be basic to some other people, but I loved that storyline that they had. And, you know, Master Chief possibly, you know, being an outcast and Locke like the super bad A soldier trying to hunt him and find him and like some Oni conspiracies and all this and that. I thought it was a really cool marketing campaign, but the story was just so different. It was just me. I was like questioning like, what is this? And I had to figure it out as it went.
And you and I had talked earlier about this as well. It was this campaign was highly rated. These trailers and this podcast were all highly rated. This thing was set. Like, the marketers and the podcasters and everyone, they did their job.
Right.
But
they did a good job.
343 did not follow through with what they did.
Yeah. And I don't know if they just wanted to make it different so they didn't spoil anything, or if there was like change in leadership or whatever and they had to scratch some things or the budget, whatever. But it was just kind of just disappointing because the Hunt the Truth built something up that was so cool for me. And then to have it like, I don't know, just be totally different. Mm-hmm. There were some aspects, I don't know. It was just different and I was disappointed.
I agree, man. I agree. What else you got?
The other thing was like, to your point earlier, one of your pros is that it's like split up.
Yeah.
Like you had two different perspectives, but for me, there was only 3 missions that you played as Master Chief. So you got that other side, but it was only like...
It was very limited.
Yeah. I think there's maybe 15 missions and you only get to play 3 as Master Chief. So
yeah, it's not a 50-50 split. That's an 80-20 split, bro.
Yeah. And I would get it like if you fleshed out like the characters of like the like Fireteam Osiris a little bit more than what they did, or they focus on that more. But I don't know. It was just weird, and it was kind of disappointing not to play as Master Chief as much. But yeah, that's one of my cons. And there was also like a few missions, at least one for sure that I remember on, Meridian. Is that what you said earlier?
Meridian, yeah.
Yeah, it was like just a mission where you explored the map, which in and of itself is cool, but leave that for something like Halo Infinite,
or Forge.
Yeah, or Forge or something like that. Because I think you're like going around like trying to get clues or something. I forget exactly how it goes.
Yeah, I think I remember what you're talking about.
Anything going on?
Yep.
And I wasn't invested enough in the story to even care. Like maybe if I was invested in the story, I'd be like, oh yeah, let's find this out. Like if it was more like Hunt the Truth kind of thing.
And
I think wasn't.
So I think when we did the synopsis of the story earlier in this episode, it's felt like a lot going on. Yeah. But playing through the game and thinking about all these missions, that's why I felt like it was drug out, because you had to fight and just fight for stupid little things and then get a little bit of the story, and then it drags out to the next mission. I felt like that story could have been compacted drastically.
Right. To your point, they probably just had one little set line and just tried to drag it out as much. It's like, okay, we need 15 missions. Let's see, okay,
and we need to make it an 8-hour gameplay or something.
Right. Right.
Yeah. What else you
got? So let me see here. There's in-game revives. I didn't really care for, because like Halo 2 on Legendary and the skulls and all that where you had to restart the game or that mission from the very start if you died or whatever. I felt like there was no consequence to dying in the game. So like pretty much almost always your team would revive you. Maybe it was different in Legendary a little bit, but I felt like that. I mean, it's cool to see that a little bit, but at the same time, there was no consequence to dying or trying to get better at the game itself. So I didn't really care for that.
Right.
And then like campaign wise, it just didn't seem to be as much of a continuation from Halo 4 and like the second game and the Reclaimer saga. I more felt like its own story, like in the Halo universe.
I'm going to have to agree with you, because I remember thinking, how does this actually tie with the rest of the Halos? Because where the heck did Osiris come from?
Right.
Why are they chasing Chief? Chief just all of a sudden goes AWOL. No one really knows why, but I mean, I agree with you. It felt weird, and then Blue Team just comes out of effing nowhere.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. Like, who are these people? It made
and then you find out they're awesome. I don't
read the lore like that, so I didn't really know.
Right. I feel like there's some missing data in between games that you had to read.
Yeah, and like even the stuff with like from Halo 4, the ending in Halo 4. Spoilers for that if you haven't played it or if you're going to. But like the end where like basically Cortana's like sacrificing herself is almost all for naught, because she comes back in Halo 5 and then she's like a bad guy in Halo 5.
Right.
So for me, it's just like kicking me while I'm down or kicking the teeth or something. So it just rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it. It felt
Yeah.
different from the Reclaimer saga. I didn't know what direction Halo was going to go in after this. And we see with Infinite, the road that they took.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if like 343 had taken some of Bungie, like maybe Bungie had a plan for the future of Halo, and
Possibly.
they were going to make more games, but then 343 bought it and said, "All right, we'll make this game for you, and then we'll make our own." And it's
Right.
like, because to me, 4 was better than 5 for
Yeah, I
sure.
love 4.
Obviously, I mean, we rated 5 very low. So,
Right.
all right, what else you got?
Yeah, and then I just, I feel like 343 tried to introduce too many characters all at once. Like, so there was like 7 new characters. I mean, you kind of knew Buck already, but
Right.
it just felt like, nobody was able to get a lot of character development for at least enough for me to care about them or what's going on in the game. Like, if they died in the game, I wouldn't feel any kind of emotion that, okay, oh well.
Yeah, and like, I think you piggybacked onto something there, because Reach introduced a lot of new characters right off the beginning, but Reach took the time for you to develop them, and it wasn't 7 new characters. It was 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5. No, yeah, 4. I guess 5 because Noble 6 counts, right?
Right. So it was 5 new characters, really, but you actually get a few missions straight with them, and you start to learn them. Whereas Osiris, you're just like, all right, everyone go after Chief.
Yeah.
It's you're not really getting a backstory.
Exactly. Yeah, they just weren't fleshed out. And I feel like it would have been a much better story, to your point, if they just had like the 4 from Team Osiris just hunting down the 1 Master Chief. Like, okay, now you have extra time to develop these other 3 guys that you don't necessarily know much about.
Right.
And to where you're conflicted maybe whenever they're going to confront Chief.
Exactly.
So I feel like that would have made for a better story, but that's just me.
I agree.
And then last, and I think you put this in there too, last, the fight scene with Master Chief and Locke. Boring, man. And I was just super disappointed. I swear I was just watching with like a grimace on my face the entire time. Like it wasn't like super cool. Chief didn't look amazing in it. Like Locke didn't necessarily look amazing in it. Like, yeah, he busted his little visor or whatever. But it was just
he
like,
wouldn't have done.
Yeah, it's just like it seemed super slow, and it was just weird, and it was like kind of short. I would expect more from like a Master Chief kind of fight with somebody like Locke if they were building him up to be like this, super soldier that's hunting down other super soldiers kind of thing. So for me, it was just disappointment in general.
Yeah, and I agree, but I already said my piece on it, man. I thought it was worthless.
Yeah, I had to put my 2
would have been
cents in.
better. I recently saw that video where they put Noble 6 in to fight Chief versus Locke, and I was like, oh my god, if only.
From Halo Follower, right? I think it's from Halo Follower. Maybe not.
Something like that, but either way, it was glorious. It's what I wanted, but they didn't do it.
Yeah, we need people like that to do like the next game.
Right. And the next TV show.
Yeah.
All right, so couple things here to touch up before we leave. We're going to talk about favorite or good memories of the campaign. So what do you got first? I'm going to let you go.
Mine's short and sweet. I don't have a lot that like really stood out that's super memorable, but just still being able to play the campaign with my friends and my brother. We play a lot of games growing up together, so that's always a good time.
Absolutely. I also remember enjoying the campaign when it first came out. It was a new Halo game, and that's what I wanted to play at the time. Always the co-op. I'm a big co-op guy, and I love being able to play co-op with my family and friends. And, I know I have some funny memories. Nothing really outright stands out, but usually I'm unlucky and fighting grunts and other enemies. I usually, and you've seen it, I'll get the random plasma grenade that just sticks me and causes me to insta-die. I've sent you clips, it.
Right as you spawn in.
Right. And I'm also pretty sure I used this one to play chicken with my cousin. He had the Scorpion and I had a Ghost. And at least I think it was Halo 5.
Oh, but Lord.
Let's just say the Scorpion won.
Oh, my God. I'm sure, dude. Why would you do that? That's suicide.
Well, it was fun. I wanted something. I mean, the campaign wasn't that great. So why not mess around?
Crash into my cousin real quick.
Right. And then, what I think happened was we played it. I went flipping over him or something. He turned around and shot me. He cheated. Anyway, bad memories. I don't really have any bad memories of this game. How about you, bud?
Likewise, I don't really have any bad memories, per se, just a lot of disappointment.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, so final touches. We're going to explain why we ranked it 8 of 8. It is the worst campaign. It was a D. What is it for you? What put it there for you?
What put it at a D on, I guess it's how we ranked it was S tier, A, B, C, D, F.
Yep.
And so D's next to the bottom. For me, it didn't live up to the expectations I had going in from the Halo 4 campaign, from the trailers, from the Hunt the Truth podcasts, or the expectations from the franchise as a whole.
Right.
And by no means is it the worst campaign story I've ever played. It just wasn't up to the standard I was used to seeing from a Halo title. And I just didn't feel comfortable putting Halo 5 above any other main title Halo game. And honestly, I know we said it at the very beginning, but in my opinion, would still be at the bottom, including Halo Wars, based off just story and character development alone.
Yeah.
It doesn't deserve an F, but I do believe a D is appropriate, for everything that went into it.
I understand. I actually think that of all the mainstream games and titles released on the console, I think this is the worst campaign of them all. I actually ranked it as high as a B at some point, but after discussions, I do feel it's necessary to put it down to a D level.
Sure.
It didn't bring much beyond an attempt at a decent story with bad execution.
Yeah.
I think there are other ways and other way better campaigns than this one, and it felt like it drug out. It tried to explain a plot twist, it tried to explain different things. But like I said earlier, I felt like it drug out that plot amongst 15 missions that just made you fight. And it was kind of like, let's see how much fighting we can throw at you and make you kill things and try to get you to stay interested in this tiny little plot that could have been less than half the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know I touched on this before. You touched on this before. I am disgusted that Locke could keep up with Master Chief. It literally irks me that much that I will give it a D.
That you brought it down just for that reason?
Just for that reason. To me, it feels like they didn't understand the lore of Halo.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
But, all right. Do you have anything else you want to end with on this one before we let him go?
I think I'm good, or else I'm going to get on a tangent with that Master Chief Locke fight.
Oh, geez. Well, we can get on that tangent when Bub's around, and it'll be a tangent, trust me.
Oh, yeah.
All right, gamers. So that is all we have for this episode. Until next time, keep gaming, keep having fun. Check us out on some socials. We're always on there. We're trying to post more, and we'll see you next time.
Sierra 117 to Infinity. Argent Moon scuttled. I've reassigned Blue Team. Destination Meridian. Potential contact from Cortana.
Negative 117. Another team is already being prepped to deal with her.
What the hell?
You're to return to Infinity immediately.
Negative Infinity. I don't like it.
Whoever they are, let's get to Meridian before they do.
Kelly, no.
No need to do this by yourself, Chief.
They won't court-martial all of us, right?